Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to be looking at tips for managing debt and how you can eliminate some of that debt. Before we get into the video, go ahead and click subscribe, turn on notifications so you can stay up to date on everything financial that we have going on. Let's go ahead and get into it. So with everything that is going on in the world, we know inflation is about 8%. In Europe, inflation is almost 9%. Everything has gotten more expensive. If you go to the grocery store, if you go to the gas station, everything is more expensive. So how can you combat that? One honest way, buy less. The consumption of products and services, the more that you buy, the more you're going to drive up inflation, the more you're going to drive up the cost because the demand is there when the supply right now is short. Meaning that if you're looking to buy a product that was $2, a couple months ago, the product could now be $5, $6. So either you choose to pay the additional cost, which it seems like a majority of people are, or that is a product that you do without. This is really a good time to take accountability of your finances, see what you can afford, budget for your groceries, budget for your gas. I know some of those things are needs that you cannot really change, but you can also bargain shop for a lot of other things. There's coupons. There's a lot of rewards programs at stores. There is a couple different ways to get things a little bit cheaper. Also managing debt, guys. Some of the things we're going to run through. Number one, always pay on time. This is really one of the biggest, most pivotal points when it comes to managing debt, maintaining your credit score, making sure that you are going to pay lower or pay a lower interest rate for everything that you purchase. Your payment history makes up 35% of your score. That is right, guys. The biggest chunk of that credit score that we talked about is your payment history. Second one, monitoring your credit regularly. Now there is annualcreditreport.com that you can go ahead and you can monitor your credit. You can look at it. There are also a lot of free credit, like Credit Karma, I know is one that a lot of people do use to monitor your credit. If there are changes in there, you can make sure that you know about those changes. A lot of credit card programs offer the exact same thing. They offer the FICO scores. If you're getting your credit report from annualcreditreport.com, you do not get a score. However, you do get the full report, meaning that if there are any inaccuracies in there, you can dispute them with the bureaus that they actually come from, making sure again that your credit report and your credit score is as high as possible. Now, one thing that we've talked about an incredible amount of time is paying more than the minimum on your cards. We've talked about the snowball method. We've talked about the avalanche method. Depending on which method you choose, one of those two to really eliminate and pay down debt faster. Remember, guys, credit cards are 18 to 27% roughly. Paying down some of those balances can have a huge impact on your credit score, resulting in you getting a better rate for everything. Also, keep in mind that where you were to where you came from. For instance, if I got an auto loan and let's say my rate was 10% because I was C credit, and over the past 12 months, my credit score has increased dramatically. A lot of financial institutions have programs to lower the current rate on that auto loan, or even shopping around for a lower rate for an auto loan, just to get the exact same thing, the exact same balance, much cheaper. That is really the big thing. You want to make sure that you do get everything as cheap as you can without sacrificing the quality that you get. Now, knowing your limits. Credit cards have a limit, a revolving limit. The credit scores want to see about a 30% utilization. So if I have a $10,000 limit on the card, they want to see that $3,000 and under, making sure, again, that your utilization limit stays low. What does it mean if it's going high? Let's say it's 50%, let's say it's 70%. Essentially, you're living outside of your means. So your regular 9 to 5, your regular paycheck is not enough to cover all of your expenses because your balances keep climbing on your cards. As they continue to climb on your cards, when you get above that 30% limit, it negatively impacts your credit score, and it can continue to drive that score down as the balance goes higher. Good news is it works in reverse as well. If you have a 70% utilization on a card, you start paying it down, you get it to 50, you get it to 40, you get it to 30, your credit score will increase because you have a lower balance on that card. Now, while 35% is your payment history, 30% is the limits that you have on the card or the capacity within those cards. Now, A couple more that we talk about, guys. Knowing your debt ratio, know exactly where you're at. You want to be about 35% debt ratio. So what does that mean? When you take your income compared to how much your monthly liabilities are with your debt, that is where you come up with your DTI, or your debt to income ratio. Again, under 35% is ideal. When you start getting to the 50% mark, that means that 50% of the income you're bringing home is already spent. Again, that is where it gets pretty tough, because then you add on all of your other things, your cable, your insurance, your food bills, your gas bills. A lot of other stuff is spoken for. But again, you want your DTI ratio about 35% is a rough estimation where you want it. Now, one thing, and one of the most easiest way to eliminate new debt, is don't get it. Don't apply for new credit cards. Don't apply for new loans unless it makes logical financial sense. A lot of people will have a incredible amount of debt. Let's say they're at a 35, 40, 45, even 50% debt to income ratio. Then all of a sudden they say, oh, well, I want a new boat. Now the debt ratio is over 50%, over 60%, whatever it may be. But take accountability for your debt. Stop searching and acquiring new debt. Essentially, when you have a ton of debt, if you're sitting on $5, $10, $15, even $20,000 of credit card debt, do you really need to get something else like a boat? And again, it really takes a point to taking accountability. Do you need a $30,000 car, a $50,000 car, $70,000 car? What do you really need to fill essentially the need within your life? Making sure, again, that you can afford it with the payments, with the insurance that comes with it. Absolutely have to make sure. Now, like I said before, shopping around for a lower rate. The market is ultra competitive when it comes to banks, financial institutions. Even a lot of insurance companies are doing lending now, are doing checking and savings accounts. There is a lot of options out there that you can explore to see if you do qualify for a lower rate. A couple more, guys. One, we've talked about this since the beginning. Build your emergency fund. Get a first $1,000 in that emergency fund. It's the old Dave Ramsey rule. Get $1,000 in that emergency fund, then focus on paying off debt. Once you pay off your debt, we're going to build the emergency fund up to 3 to 6 months, but making sure, again, the basics of an emergency fund. Now, what purpose does that really prove? When you have the emergency fund, you will have the ability to pay for items when expenses come up. So let's say you need a car repair, you need, anything unexpected medical bill. You have the money to pay for the item that you're looking to. You're not going back to credit cards. You're not going back to loans when an unexpected expense happens, because you have that emergency fund. Now, essentially what happens if you use the emergency fund, let's say I use 500 of the $1,000 that I have saved. I am going to save until I get my $500 back, making my emergency fund that full $1,000 again, and then I will continue with the repayment of debt. It's amazing that once you manage your debt, once you pay off a little bit of debt, it again kind of snowballs into paying off more debt, to the point of not having debt. And then all of a sudden you have a lot of money because you don't have the debt. Final one, guys, think before you close your accounts. Now, we know that closing accounts, a lot of people say, does closing out a credit card make a difference for your score? It can. One, it can eliminate payment history. Remember, 35% of your score is that payment history. It can eliminate a big chunk of your payment history. Second one is it can affect the capacity on your cards. So let's say I have a card open for 15 years. It has a $25,000 limit. I close that card. I'm losing that repayment history. I am losing that capacity on the card, which again could have a very big impact on your score. Now, over time, guys, you kind of whittle it down if you get to a certain point where you only have one card, because honestly, I know a lot of people say that credit cards are bad. You do need one credit card. If you want to rent a car, they will only take a credit card for a majority of places. If you want to rent a hotel, they will only take a credit card most places. They will not take debit cards because essentially you can just go to the financial institution, take out the money, and boom, they have no collateral. They have nothing if something should happen to the room, which is the reason why a lot of places, I think, will not take credit card or will not take debit cards at all. So, all right, guys, so that'll do it for today's video. Just some quick tips on managing your debt. Make sure, guys, again, that your payment history is always on time, that you monitor your credit. You always make at least the minimum payment, of course, focusing on the snowball or the debt avalanche to really pay that off. So let me know in the comments what you guys think. And as always, thank you guys for watching.